What if I could show you a simple blueprint for overcoming fatigue and supercharging your body's energy levels? What if you could literally double your energy levels and have enough energy to do everything you ever wanted? What if you woke up every day excited and energized and in love with your life again? I'm Ari Whitten, and I've helped tens of thousands of people overcome fatigue and increase their energy levels. I'm a functional health practitioner, two-time best-selling author, host of the #1 podcast for people struggling with fatigue, and creator of the Energy Blueprint system. And I'm here to give you powerful science-based strategies to start increasing your energy levels dramatically within just days. There's a hidden epidemic in our world right now, chronic lack of energy, and it's wrecking people's lives. People are fatigued, they're stressed, they're burned out, they're exhausted, they're anxious, they're depressed, they're plagued with brain fog. They've lost their sex drive and passion in their relationships. They're dragging themselves through the day with sugar and caffeine, borrowing energy from tomorrow to pay for today. They're stuck on the couch watching life go by because they just don't have enough energy to do the things they want to do. In short, people are becoming bankrupt in the most essential ingredient to having a truly good life: energy. I've spent the last 22 years of my life utterly obsessed with the science of health. This isn't just a passing interest for me, it's my lifelong passion and obsession. 6 years ago, I joined forces with several other top health experts and renowned doctors with one singular goal in mind: to create a real, science-based solution for fatigue, to advance our understanding of the causes of fatigue and pioneer new protocols that help people overcome fatigue and live a life with abundant energy. After many years of hard work, I believe that our team of experts has developed the most powerful energy enhancement system in existence, the Energy Blueprint, and I'm proud to say that it's quickly becoming recognized as the world's top program for people looking to overcome fatigue and increase their energy levels. Over the last few years, we've reached over 2.5 million people with our free educational articles and podcasts. We've had over 200,000 people go through the Energy Blueprint training programs. For me, this work has been a life's dream come true. And I'm blessed and honored to say that we've been able to help thousands of people overcome fatigue, get their health and energy back, and in many cases, get their life back. In this masterclass training, which you have right now as my gift to you, I'll be cutting through the pseudoscience and BS that's out there, and I'll be giving you the map of the real factors that cause fatigue. Most importantly, I'm gonna give you powerful science-based strategies, solutions that go far beyond the typical stuff you'd get from your doctor, health coach, or even functional medicine practitioner. These strategies will show you exactly how to make fatigue a thing of your past and create a body and brain that are absolutely bursting with energy all day, every day. And achieve it while you avoid the lies, myths, and misinformation coming at you from all directions. Here's a small sampling of what you're going to learn in this masterclass training. How to literally increase the size of your mitochondria, which are your cellular energy generators, and even make more of them from scratch. So for example, going from 1,000 to 1,500 mitochondria in each cell. A pre-bed formula that's so powerful, you'll get the deepest sleep you've had since you were a kid. A special type of morning routine that takes 5 minutes that supercharges your brain for the day ahead. How to reverse the nasty physiological effects of stress on your brain and have more brain clarity and energy than you've had in decades. How your past stressors and traumas can wire your brain for fatigue and how to rewire it for energy. Special protocols to eliminate inflammation from your body and literally supercharge your mitochondria so they pump out more energy. And the 7 key energy habits that build a high energy body. And believe me, much, much more than just this. This is not going to be just fluff. This is potentially life-changing information. Now, let me just quickly share the kind of results that people are getting using this system. We get hundreds of people emailing us every month to share their results from using the Energy Blueprint system. Here are just a few examples. This one's from Sandra Brooks. She said, "Before starting the Energy Blueprint program, my life as I knew it was gone. Debilitating chronic fatigue was my new existence." Then she goes on to talk about some of the details, and she said, "After another 2 months, my sleep went from 4 to 5 hours per night to 6.5 to 7 hours per night." She also said, "Despite the fact that I'm not dieting, I've lost 18 pounds. But absolutely best of all, my debilitating chronic fatigue is becoming a distant, horrible memory. Not only do I feel better than when I started the program, I feel better than I have in years." She also said, "Ari Whitten's my favorite science geek." That's my favorite part of that. Here's another email that was sent to me. She said, "Ari talked about doubling energy levels in 2 weeks. Well, I tripled mine in about 1 week. I'll tell you more later." Here's one from Ear Rita, who suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome for many years. She said it's like waking up after a long time. It's like coming to life after a long winter. and relearning how to be really alive. That's how I'm feeling. This one's from Julianne. She said, finding the energy blueprint and you has truly changed my life. Nicola said, I've had CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, for a few years and recently started module 6. I'm feeling better than I have in years. Another one from Christine, brain fog gone, and I have more mental alertness now than I've ever had in my whole life. Here's another one from Ginny. She said, I suffered mild to moderate fatigue for decades. Now I love having the vitality to live my life and not feel like I'm dragging myself through it. Honestly, I feel 20 years younger. Here's one more from Dr. Christopher Picard. He said, I practice functional medicine and I've learned a lot from Ari. My energy was fine before and now it's outrageous. I'm here to help you achieve results like this in your life, to supercharge your brain and body. So, whether you've been struggling with severe debilitating chronic fatigue, or you're going through chronic stress that has you feeling burnt out, full of anxiety, empty of passion, emotionally flat and dragging yourself through the day, or even if you're already pretty healthy and you're just interested in learning the most cutting-edge science to take your energy to the highest levels humanly possible, then you're in the right place, because I'm about to show you the most powerful system in existence to overcome fatigue and build a high energy body. So let's get started. If you want to overcome fatigue and massively increase your energy levels, there are 4 foundational secrets you must know. These have the potential to save you a lot of wasted time and money. So pay close attention to what I'm about to share with you and make sure to watch this until the very end. I promise this is well worth your time. It may be the most important thing you do all week. Here's a quick overview of what we're about to cover. Secret number 1, the specific set of symptoms that can tell you if you have normal fatigue or a more serious and concerning kind of fatigue that suggests cellular dysfunction. Secret number 2, why energy is the central key to both success and happiness. Secret number 3, the reality of what you'll get if you go to see a conventional doctor to try to fix your fatigue. Secret number 4, why functional medicine, holistic medicine, and the adrenal fatigue approach does not have very much to offer people with fatigue. And finally, 6 powerful strategies to start increasing your energy dramatically within just days. Secret number 1, there is a specific set of symptoms that can tell you if you have normal fatigue or a more serious and concerning kind of fatigue. First of all, fatigue has become an epidemic, and it's become so common that it's actually become normalized. People think it's normal to be fatigued. Now, of course, feeling a little bit tired or wanting to lay down and rest after a long day of hard physical and mental work is totally normal. But being fatigued or feeling drained constantly is most definitely not normal. It's your body crying for help. So how do you know if you have just regular normal tiredness, which is not a sign of anything wrong and maybe just means that you need a vacation or a little more sleep or a little time off work, or if you have something that's a sign of a much more serious problem? It turns out that there's a very specific set of signs and symptoms to know if you have normal tiredness versus more serious pathological fatigue. Here are the key symptoms to be aware of. So first of all, the most basic one is, are you tired or do you feel chronic lack of energy or exhaustion frequently during the day, most days, and for more than just a few days, but more like weeks or months or years? Do you have brain symptoms like anxiety, brain fog, depression, or brain-related fatigue? Do you have gut issues like bloating, gas, abdominal pain, or food intolerances? Do you have widespread body aches or pains? Are you addicted to sugar, or do you need food every couple of hours to maintain your energy levels? Do you have post-exertional malaise, which means you feel really exhausted and wiped out for a day or 2 or 3 following physical activity? Do you have trouble sleeping? Okay, so here's how this breaks down. To be even more specific, if you have a combination of frequent fatigue during the day and trouble sleeping, and again, what this means is you're tired a lot during the day, but despite being tired, you have trouble sleeping. If you have that combination going on, then you have the first key signs of cellular dysfunction and a more serious, concerning kind of chronic fatigue. Now, if you have frequent fatigue during the day and trouble sleeping, and you also have some brain symptoms like brain fog or anxiety or depression or brain-related fatigue, which is your brain kind of gets sleepy and tired, or you kind of shut down and get fatigued following any mentally demanding task like driving a car or doing work or reading a book or something like that. If you have any of those brain symptoms plus fatigue and trouble sleeping, now you have an even more severe and concerning kind of serious chronic fatigue that's a sign of cellular dysfunction. And finally, if you have frequent fatigue during the day, trouble sleeping, brain symptoms like brain fog, anxiety, depression, etc., and you have either one of these two things, post-exertional malaise or widespread pain and body aches, now you have potentially the symptoms that may indicate chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia. Now, this is not an official diagnosis by any means. You need to go to your doctor for that, but these symptoms definitely suggest that. Post-exertional malaise is actually one of the key diagnostic symptoms for chronic fatigue syndrome. So if you have that symptom, which means you feel exhausted or wiped out for a day or two or three following even brief episodes of physical activity, that is a strong sign of very serious dysfunction in your body. So this is what this spectrum looks like. On one end, we have a high energy body, and this is the optimal scenario. This is where your body and brain are producing energy optimally and you are extremely healthy. And then we start getting into, maybe you're mostly healthy, but you're just dealing with some mild stress or mild sleep deprivation or being overworked, and you're starting to get some symptoms. And then you get into more of the moderate fatigue, which is characterized by some of the symptoms we just talked about. Now you're starting to get sleep impairment, maybe the emergence of some of those brain-related symptoms, brain fog, anxiety, depression, brain-related fatigue. And then as these symptoms get more severe, now you're getting into more serious chronic fatigue. And then on the end of this part of the spectrum, now you're getting into severe debilitating chronic fatigue syndrome that's characterized by mostly losing your functionality, losing your capacity for physical activity, spending a lot of day in bed, not being able to hold down a job because your brain can't perform that well. And that's the extreme of how bad fatigue can get. So it's important to understand this spectrum. Again, a lot of people think fatigue just means, if you have chronic fatigue, that must mean you have chronic fatigue syndrome. No, you can have mild or moderate fatigue and be somewhere in here and still be quite far away from having a high energy body and being optimally energetic. Now, it's important to understand if you have these symptoms, this is not something you want to ignore and keep pushing through as you try to get things done. That is a terrible mistake. Let me show you why. Secret number 2, your energy is the foundation of your success and happiness in life. If you have these symptoms we just talked about, it is a sign that things have already progressed so much that the actual cells of your body and brain are in a state of serious dysfunction and are unable to produce enough energy to power your body effectively. And unless you do something to fix that dysfunction, it will only get worse until it eventually results in disease or debilitating chronic fatigue or both. And maybe even worse, it will likely wreck your life along the way. I want to take you through a quick 30-second little exercise right now that's based on scientific research, and this exercise will tell you a lot about your life. I have 3 statements for you, and I want you to rank how you score on these 3 statements. Then I'll show you what your score means. Ready? So, rank your score on these 3 statements. Number 1 is, I'm physically fatigued or exhausted often. Rank from 1 to 5, 5 being more fatigued. Physically fatigued or exhausted often. Number 2 is, my mind feels slow and foggy. Rank 1 to 5. And the last one is, I feel negative energy and emotions very frequently. So rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 on these 3 things. Okay, you got your scores? Good. Here's what it means. Research from the High Performance Institute has found that higher scores of 10 and above on these 3 questions are linked with lower desire for taking on challenges. In other words, you're more likely to be apathetic and not pursue your goals. Lower confidence in the face of adversity, poorer self-care habits, feeling less successful, less influence with others, and most importantly, the lower your overall happiness in life. Basically, when your energy and brain function are poor, everything in your life will suffer. Your motivation to go after what you want in life, your health, and even your overall happiness. Being fatigued prevents you from being the person you're capable of being. And when it gets really bad and you feel trapped inside of a body and brain that just can't do what you want, it can wreck your life so badly that you feel there's nothing left to live for. Trying to push through fatigue on your way to success and happiness in life is literally the most counterproductive thing you can possibly do. Also, one more thing, for the driven achiever types among you and those inclined to work really hard and neglect themselves in the process, take note of this. The High Performance Institute has also done research with thousands of people that are high achievers, defined as the people who have the happiest and most successful lives. And they've discovered that one of the 6 core habits of those high achievers is a deep commitment to doing the things that cultivate their physical energy levels each day. So let that sink in. That is one of the key cornerstone habits of the highest achievers, the happiest and most successful people in life. Now, here's the big problem. Neither conventional medicine nor holistic or functional medicine has much to offer people with chronic lack of energy. Let me break this down for you. Let's start with conventional medicine. So secret number 3, conventional medicine does not have much to offer people with fatigue. Here's what the best of modern conventional medicine has for people with fatigue. First, as stated on the Mayo Clinic's website and many other websites, they do not know what causes chronic fatigue. They state this very directly in their own words. Also, there is no test in existence that they can do that is diagnostic for chronic fatigue syndrome or any other fatigue condition. Also, they don't believe there are any curative treatments. So I quote from the Mayo Clinic's website, treatment focuses on symptom relief. So what do they do for symptom relief? What is going to your doctor to try to get help for your fatigue actually look like? There was an amazing review of the scientific literature on the subject of treating people who have fatigue that was published in the journal American Family Physician, and basically compiled all the scientific literature that they had and created some evidence-based guidelines for how conventional medical doctors should treat their patients with fatigue. Get ready, because this is going to blow your mind. If you have fatigue and you show up to your doctor to try to find out what's wrong with you and how to get better, here's a breakdown of what they have to offer. 4 treatment options. Exercise therapy, which primarily is an instruction or a recommendation to go for a walk, 30 minutes of aerobic exercise per day. Then they have antidepressants, things like Prozac and Zoloft. Then they have cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a type of psychotherapy that largely revolves around interrupting negative thought patterns and trying to think more positive thoughts. And stimulant pills. These are the 4 treatments that conventional medicine has to offer people with fatigue. That's what they got. Antidepressants, a recommendation to do walking and stretching, stimulant pills, and cognitive behavioral therapy. That is literally, according to them, what their 4 options are for treatment. That's it. That's the best of modern conventional medicine. Now there's one more thing I want to mention here. Blood tests are notoriously worthless in people with fatigue issues. People go to their doctor thinking that the best of modern medicine and advanced science will certainly have answers for them. They imagine they'll do a blood test and it will clearly show what's going wrong inside their bodies. And guess what? That journal article in the American Family Physician also covered the scientific research on exactly how useful blood tests are, and what they found is mind-blowing. Here's an actual screenshot from this section of this scientific research paper. Results of laboratory studies, blood tests, affect management of cases of people with fatigue in only 5% of patients. In other words, only in a measly 5% of cases do your blood tests actually show anything useful that changes anything they recommend. So 95% of the time, blood tests do not find anything useful to help you get better, which means that you are ultimately left with those 4 treatment options. A recommendation to do 30 minutes of aerobic exercise, antidepressants, cognitive behavioral therapy, and stimulant pills. Now please understand, I'm definitely not trying to bash doctors here. I'm simply communicating the facts from the actual research on this subject according to their evidence-based guidelines. There are, of course, many incredible doctors out there doing amazing work in a wide variety of fields. And you better believe that if I get shot, stabbed, have an acute life-threatening infection, lose a limb, or a number of other scenarios, I myself would be going to a conventional medical doctor because they do absolutely incredible work in these areas and many other areas. But unfortunately, when it comes to fatigue, with a few exceptions, most conventional doctors really don't have much to offer. I believe that we can do a lot better than the standard treatment plan of antidepressants, CBT, exercise, stimulants, and tests which have a measly 5% chance of finding anything useful. Because it's not working. Lives are being lost while we're living them. That is why I created the Energy Blueprint. But one more thing before we get to that. Secret number 4, holistic, natural, and functional medicine does not have much to offer those who have chronic fatigue or chronic lack of energy. Unfortunately, the natural health community, the holistic and natural medicine, which I generally associate with and I'm very much a part of, also, like conventional medicine, does not have very effective answers for those dealing with fatigue. Their thinking on this topic has been dominated for decades now by the adrenal fatigue theory, which centers around the role of the adrenal glands and cortisol as being the central players in fatigue. This review of the research examines over 25 years of studies from all over the world that have assessed the relationship between cortisol levels with various fatigue syndromes. Also, I want to mention one more important thing. I've gone the extra mile here and compiled all this research and displayed it publicly with all the links to the actual studies and quotes from the researchers and actual screenshots of the cortisol measurements from these studies, so that if any proponent of adrenal fatigue wants to go look at the research for themselves, they can go do that. What you'll find here is literally every study in existence on this topic for more than 2 decades. To give you a sense of it, let me just show you a quick scroll through this long 40-page list of studies, including the links to the studies and the actual screenshots. This took over 6 months of work to do, to find and analyze this huge amount of research. But let me sum it up for you here in just a few sentences. So what did I find in all that research? This is a key question. Is low cortisol or poor adrenal function the cause of fatigue? Since 1995, there have been 59 studies on this topic done by researchers all over the world. Here's what they found. 11 of those 59 studies found slightly higher cortisol levels in people with these fatigue syndromes versus normal, healthy people without fatigue. 15 of 59 found slightly lower cortisol levels in people with these fatigue syndromes versus normal, healthy people. The majority of studies, 33 of 59 studies, found no difference whatsoever in adrenal function or cortisol levels between people with fatigue and normal, healthy people without any symptoms. In summary, what these studies make clear is that most people with burnout syndrome, stress-related exhaustion disorder, and various kinds of fatigue have perfectly normal cortisol levels that are indistinguishable from normal, healthy people who don't have symptoms or chronic stress. Contrary to the adrenal fatigue theory, the data definitively prove that the symptoms in these conditions are not actually caused by low cortisol levels, right? Because if you can have, and indeed if the majority of studies show that the majority of people with fatigue have these symptoms, but have no cortisol or adrenal abnormality, then we know and we can say definitively that cortisol levels are not causing these symptoms. One more quick thing I want to mention here, because some people get confused on this point. When I say that adrenal fatigue is not the cause of your fatigue and your other symptoms, I am not saying that your symptoms are not real. And it's very misguided to think that you'll fix your symptoms by trying to fix your adrenal glands or cortisol levels. And if you've been trying to do that without much success, then this is good news, because now I'm going to show you the real path to fixing your energy issues. To give you a quick overview of some of this research so you can see it for yourself, and again, I've compiled all this research in over a 40-page document on my site. You can see all of that for yourself, but let me give you the quick 2-minute summary of a few examples. So this is hypocortisolism, which is low cortisol levels, an evidence-based review. They said, quote, although adrenal fatigue or burnout of the adrenal glands subsequent to chronic stress has been proposed as one mechanism by which low cortisol levels develop, current medical research does not support this claim. Here's a review of the evidence as of 2018. And the researchers here note, in these studies that have tested cortisol levels in people with fatigue, 2/3 of participants showed no difference whatsoever in salivary cortisol levels between healthy control subjects, the normal healthy people without any fatigue, and those who were fatigued. Here's another one from 2015. They concluded, quote, diurnal salivary cortisol give a rather poor reflection of the prolonged stress exposure experienced by patients with stress-related exhaustion disorder. Such basal salivary cortisol measurements do not seem suitable as biomarkers for stress-related conditions such as exhaustion disorder or burnout. In other words, there's no real correlation between chronic stress and any sort of low cortisol levels. Another one, the neurobiology of burnout, looking at the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gland axis. So that's the adrenals plus the hypothalamus and the pituitary. They said, quote, there is no HPA axis dysregulation in burnout. Another one, biomarkers in burnout, a systematic literature review, which is the highest level of scientific evidence. Speaking on all the studies, the researchers said, quote, when taken together among all the studies that investigated HPA axis function and burnout, 3 support an increase in HPA axis functions, which means slightly higher cortisol levels. 5 support a decrease in HPA axis functions, which means slightly lower cortisol levels. And 11, again, the vast majority of studies, show no relationship between fatigue syndromes or fatigue symptoms and abnormal cortisol levels. Perfectly normal cortisol levels in people with fatigue compared to normal, healthy people. Another one, clinical burnout, is not reflected in the cortisol awakening response, the day curve, or response to a hormone suppression test, a way of assessing the function of the HPA axis. They said, quote, "We concluded that HPA axis functioning in clinically diagnosed burnout participants seems to be normal." Here's the bottom line. This is a review of the scientific literature as of 2016. This is not my opinion. This is an actual review by researchers in this field. They did a comprehensive review of the science, and they titled it, after analyzing all the evidence, they titled it, "Adrenal Fatigue Does Not Exist." You can guess what they said in the conclusion, but basically it is that the evidence does not support the theory of adrenal fatigue. This is a quote from the Endocrine Society, which represents 14,000 endocrinologist MDs. Endocrinologists are conventional medical doctors that specialize in hormonal issues. And remember, cortisol is a hormone. Okay? So this is within their domain. They said, officially as their public statement, adrenal fatigue is not a real medical condition. There are no scientific facts to support the theory that long-term mental, emotional, or physical stress drains the adrenal glands and causes many common symptoms. Key points. The science does not support the theory that fatigue syndromes have any connection whatsoever to abnormal adrenal function or low cortisol levels. Given these simple and inarguable facts, it makes absolutely no sense to continue to try to explain fatigue and exhaustion and burnout through the lens of the adrenals and cortisol levels as though they are the primary cause. The primary cause of these symptoms is clearly not abnormal cortisol levels. So we must stop trying to fix these symptoms as though the adrenals and cortisol levels are the primary cause. So if adrenal function and low cortisol levels are not the key cause of fatigue, then what the heck is? We're going to be discussing that in depth throughout this masterclass training. But let me just start by giving you one extremely important layer to that story and giving you 6 powerful strategies to start increasing your energy levels today. I want to talk to you about the single most common cause of chronic fatigue or low energy levels, which is disrupted circadian rhythm. So first of all, what is the circadian rhythm? Well, we're all tied to the sun. Most of us don't realize this in the modern world because we become very disconnected from this fact. But on a biological level, we are all still very tied to the rise and the fall of the sun. Most organisms, including humans, have their metabolic, physiological, hormonal, and behavioral processes synchronized to a 24-hour clock. And according to these external signals that tell us when it's day and when it's night, our biology orchestrates a symphony of hormonal, neurotransmitter, and behavioral responses. That's the circadian rhythm. But it's not just your sleep and wake cycles. It's many, many other things. So the circadian clock regulates energy regulating hormones and neurotransmitters, metabolism regulating hormones, sleep and rejuvenation, appetite regulating hormones, stress and youth hormones, health and longevity. There's amazing research coming out linking circadian rhythm to your overall health and risk of many different diseases and your longevity, as well as arousal and alertness and energy levels. Now, I'm sure you've already heard people say things like, make sure to get your 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night. Well, here's a big problem. Just doing that alone is not enough. And the reason why is that the circadian rhythm controls the depth and the quality of your sleep. And it directly modulates wakefulness and energy hormones and neurotransmitters. So in other words, even if you get 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night, if that sleep is not deep and rejuvenative, you may still wake up groggy the next day and your cells may not have fully undergone their regenerative processes. So why does all this matter? A large and rapidly growing body of new research has discovered that the circadian rhythm is a primary factor in not just when we're asleep and awake, but also in our health, our body composition, and our energy levels. Moreover, this new research has discovered that virtually all of us living in the modern world are unknowingly living with the effects of a chronically disrupted circadian rhythm. Or as one circadian rhythm researcher put it, we're all living in a sort of circadian fog. You can think of it as a chronic state of very mild jet lag. Here's a quote from a scientist who studies this field. He said, "Humans evolved on a planet without electric light over thousands and thousands of generations. The body is designed to be alert and awake during daytime hours and to sleep at night. Now we have a 24/7 society that isn't in harmony with our biological design." Disrupted circadian rhythm has been linked to all sorts of nasty health effects. Just to give you a quick sampling, it's been shown to contribute to inflammatory diseases, depression, to weaken your immune system, to increase your risk of cancer, increase your risk of cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative diseases, impair brain function, and of course, cause fatigue. Disrupted circadian rhythm is linked with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, lack of ability to feel pleasure, anxiety, depression, and mood disorders, which are all common symptoms in people with fatigue and chronic lack of energy. So what are the primary causes of circadian rhythm disruption? Well, there's several layers of causes, but the primary one is that we're not getting enough of a daytime and energy mode signal into our circadian clock in the brain during the daytime when we should be getting it because we're indoors, not getting bright outdoor light. And then at night, we're getting way too much of that daytime energy mode signal when we shouldn't be getting it from all of the modern artificial lighting sources. So man-made lighting, indoor lighting, TVs, computer screens, cell phones, tablets, all of these different kinds of man-made artificial lighting are now emitting light, especially light in the blue wavelengths, and that's the primary wavelengths of light that disrupt the circadian clock or that give that daytime energy mode signal to the circadian clock in the brain. We're getting that signal when we shouldn't be getting it. It used to be that when the sun went down, there's no more blue light around, right? During the day, we have a blue sky and a bright sun that are emitting lots and lots of blue wavelengths of light. After the sun went down, the only sources of light were really firelight, which emit almost no blue light. Now that situation has changed in the modern world because we have all of these devices, indoor lighting, TVs, computers, phones, etc., that are all emitting lots and lots of blue light. That signal, that light is then getting into the eyes, feeding back through nerves into the circadian clock in the brain, and giving the brain the signal it's daytime, the time to be awake, alert, active, and energetic. And it's disrupting that circadian clock in the brain. So is there any research to show that this matters? Yes, there is a huge amount of research on this subject. Here's an article from Harvard Medical School talking about blue light has a dark side. Here's another one. This is a study called light-emitting e-readers, like tablets, iPads, and things like that, before bedtime can adversely impact sleep. They noted iPad readers took longer to fall asleep, felt less sleepy at night, and had shorter REM sleep and deep sleep compared to the book readers, people who were reading just paper books. The iPad readers also secreted less melatonin, and they were also more tired than book readers the following day. So you see the link between the circadian rhythm and sleep as well as energy levels the next day. There's even research showing that this is a February 2019 study in professional basketball players looking at their late night tweeting activities and then their game performance the following day. So simply staying up late playing with your phone can impact your performance, your energy and performance the following day to a significant degree. Here's another one looking at light emitted from computer screens, and they showed significantly disrupted sleep continuity and architecture, basically disrupted sleep, and led to greater self-reported daytime sleepiness, negative emotions, and attention difficulties. So energy problems and brain problems as a result of artificial light exposure at night. Another key study, and this was one of the earliest studies that really started this whole line of research over 20 years ago into circadian rhythm. And the researchers noted our results clearly demonstrate that humans are much more sensitive to light than initially suspected.
And this is a great quote from one researcher, so you guys really understand the importance of all this. He said, quote, "Every time we turn on a light, we are inadvertently taking a drug that affects how we will sleep and how we will be awake the next day. In other words, how energetic you are."
So typical characteristics strongly affected by the circadian rhythm. Optimal circadian rhythm means deep restful sleep, good mood, peak mental and physical performance, good body composition, leanness, and high energy levels. Disrupted circadian rhythm is the exact opposite. Sleep problems, insomnia, anxiety and depression, poor brain performance, poor physical performance, tendency towards fat gain, and chronic fatigue and energy problems. So what is the circadian rhythm and fatigue link? Sleep and energy are two sides of the same coin, and they're linked through the circadian rhythm. So you can either be in a situation where you have deep restful sleep and lots of energy, like kids have, or you can be like this guy looking at his phone late at night and slowly and insidiously start to suffer the consequences, which is that it's going to impair your brain function, your mood, and your energy levels. So there are 9 key mechanisms through which circadian rhythm can cause energy problems and fatigue.
Right now, for the sake of keeping this video shorter and getting to the practical strategies faster so you can start increasing your energy today, I just want to cover 3 of these 9 mechanisms so you understand how important the circadian rhythm is to your energy levels and so much more.
So number 1, weakening mitochondria and making them susceptible to damage. Our mitochondria, you're going to hear a lot about those throughout this masterclass training because they are the key player in our energy issues. Mitochondria are our cellular energy generators. Now, one of the key things that the circadian rhythm does is it controls melatonin secretion from the brain. Melatonin is what most people know as a hormone that helps trigger sleep onset. That's absolutely true. However, it also has another very important role. Melatonin is a very unique substance that is actually able to penetrate inside of our mitochondria and stabilize and protect them from damage. Now, one of the big problems in the modern world is that when we're getting artificial light at night, that light is literally suppressing our pineal glands, our brain's ability to produce melatonin. So what happens when you live in a world, like we do in the modern world today, where you're getting light exposure in your eyes every night that's chronically suppressing your brain's ability to produce melatonin? Okay? Let's say you're getting 50% less melatonin every night than you should be. Well, if melatonin is a key stabilizer and protector of your mitochondria, that adds up. Basically, it ends up progressively over time weakening and fragilizing your mitochondria and making them much more susceptible to damage, and they accumulate damage and become dysfunctional over time. What happens when your cellular energy generators become dysfunctional and damaged? They produce less energy. There are a number of studies online about this. For example, melatonin's role in mitochondrial function, and they're showing illustrations like this where melatonin is inside of the mitochondria, stabilizing against oxidative stress and nitrosative stress, or ROS and RNS, and then increasing GSH. This means glutathione. That's one of our most powerful internal antioxidants. So melatonin is playing a central role in this process, protecting our mitochondria and keeping our mitochondria strong and healthy so they can produce lots of energy. So that's one mechanism. Now, a lot of people talk about antioxidants, whether it's vitamin C and vitamin E pills or whether it's things like goji berries and acai berries. People don't realize that melatonin is hundreds of times more powerful in protecting your mitochondria from damage. It is one of the most critical compounds to keep your mitochondria strong and healthy. So in order to keep your cellular energy generators strong and producing lots of energy, you have to have a strong circadian rhythm. The second mechanism, deficient autophagy. Disrupted circadian rhythm blunts this process called autophagy. Autophagy is basically recycling at the cellular level. So throughout the normal course of the day, our cells are working and producing energy and doing the things that cells do. And in the process, they accumulate some degree of damage, cell parts that get damaged and dysfunctional. At the end of the day, our body goes through this process of autophagy where it breaks down, digests, chemically digests, and then recycles these damaged, broken down parts and rebuilds new healthy cell parts and mitochondria. A big reason why disrupted circadian rhythm is linked to so many diseases, from cancer to Alzheimer's to obesity to fatigue, is that it suppresses autophagy. It makes it so your body cannot do this process of recycling and rebuilding your cells every night while you sleep. Maintaining clean cells is critical to slowing down the aging process and maintaining healthy mitochondria and high energy levels as we get older. When autophagy is not working well, it means you're functioning tomorrow on today's cell components. That means proneness to disease and lower energy levels. Cellular junk accumulation is a major driver of fatigue and aging, but it's important to understand this junk primarily accumulates precisely because we are not able to maintain autophagy. The more you disrupt your circadian rhythm, the more you blunt your autophagy, which decreases cell cleanup and cell regeneration and mitochondrial regeneration. The reason why is that autophagy primarily occurs during the nighttime while you're sleeping. So if your circadian rhythm is not strong and it's chronically being disrupted, all of the things that should be happening while you're sleeping, including autophagy, get suppressed. It also has an indirect influence on hormones and neurotransmitters of various kinds, which leads me to the next mechanism, which is disrupting neurotransmitters. The circadian clock regulates the function and impacts several different key neurotransmitters that impact on our mood and our energy levels. just to give you a quick overview of some of this research, orexin is one of the key wakefulness and energy neurotransmitters. Circadian clock controls orexin levels. Several studies showing that. We also have studies showing serotonin and the circadian rhythm, interactions of serotonin and the circadian systems. Lots and lots of studies. Also, dopamine is affected by the circadian rhythm. Another key neurotransmitter called GABA is also affected by the circadian rhythm. Let me give you a quick overview of what these neurotransmitters do. Serotonin is a key regulator of mood, joy, and pleasure. When you have low serotonin levels, which happens as a result of chronic circadian rhythm disruption, that's one potential cause of it, you can get anhedonia, which is difficulty finding pleasure or joy in life's activities, depression, anger and irritability, loss of interest in passions, hobbies, fibromyalgia or unexplained muscle pains, frequent worry and anxiety, and more. Lack of dopamine or deficiency of dopamine can lead to lack of drive and motivation, difficulty bringing tasks to completion, feeling worthless or hopeless, being angry or irritable without it being necessary or for very small things, difficulty handling any increase in stress load, as well as antisocial tendencies or lack of concern for family or friends. Orexin, again, this is our key energy and wakefulness neurotransmitter. Circadian rhythm has a huge impact on this. So this is symptoms of poor orexin activity include daytime sleepiness and fatigue, of course, fatigue and sleepiness after meals rich in carbs or fats, propensity for weight gain, and poor sleep at night. GABA is our primary relaxation and calmness neurotransmitter. It's something that helps calm us down and get us into sleep mode at night. If you have poor GABA levels, you get chronic feelings of anxiousness, dread, or panic, chronic feelings of physical or mental tension, racing thoughts or restless mind, or a hard time shutting off your thoughts when you're trying to sleep at night, and so on. These are just 4 of the key neurotransmitters that are affected by a disrupted circadian clock.
And if you haven't been taking great care of your circadian rhythm, it's basically a guarantee that you're suffering from at least some degree of imbalance and dysfunction in these neurotransmitters, and that you're paying the price for it in terms of your mood, your sleep, your brain function, and your energy levels.
Now let's talk about 6 strategies that you can start implementing today to start deepening your sleep and increasing your energy levels. Number 1, bright light every morning. Very simple, get sunlight during the first 30 minutes after you wake up. This is the most critical time to get that light signal, that it's daytime, the time to be awake, alert, active, and energetic signal into your brain. First 30 minutes after you wake up, you want that bright light exposure. Ideally, get sunlight outdoors. If you are in a situation where you either wake up before the sunrise or you live in a place that's really overcast for many months of the year, then do this. These are called seasonal affective disorder lamps, or bright light therapy. Seasonal affective disorder is a condition caused by disrupted circadian rhythm as a result of not getting enough light exposure, especially during the morning period, usually as a result of living in a place that's very overcast. But this is happening in everyone, regardless of where they live, in a lot of people, I should say, not because it's not sunny outdoors, but because they're not actually getting outdoors and they're spending all their time indoors. So you're getting this same effect of having a blunted circadian rhythm and having the mood and energy problems that result from that. So if you can't get outdoor sunlight, get yourself one of these. In the document below this video, the summary document, I'll give you my recommendations about the specific devices to get. There's a few good brands out there. But either way, make sure you're getting this bright light in the morning. It will make a huge difference in your mood and your energy levels, literally within, if not the very first day that you do it, certainly within a few days of doing it. Number 2, get your electronic devices off and out of your room, out of your bedroom, and out of your life in the last hour before bed. This is not a good situation. Research has shown that doing this simple thing that has become shockingly common, delays sleep onset, which means it takes longer for your body to fall asleep, disrupts the hormonal cascade that needs to happen before and during sleep. So we're talking about things like melatonin and prolactin and growth hormone, and decreases sleep efficiency, which means how restful and rejuvenative the sleep you're getting actually is. Again, it's possible to be in bed for 8 hours and get really poor, not very rejuvenative sleep, or be in bed for the same length of time and get amazing levels of sleep depth and cellular regeneration. In addition, make sure that your phone is nowhere near your head or your brain for at least an hour before sleep. The reason why is that it's not just light that disturbs our circadian rhythm, but it's also been shown in several studies that the electromagnetic fields from these devices can also suppress melatonin secretion and disturb our circadian rhythm. So just the physical presence of an electronic device close to your head will disturb your circadian rhythm and disturb your sleep in much the same way that light does. In fact, the all-around smartest approach is to unplug all electronics within 6 feet of your bed at night and not have anything on near you while you sleep. Now, if there's some electronic device that you need nearby you, like for example an alarm clock, or you use your phone as an alarm clock, you can still do that. Just try to move that device at least 6 feet away from your bed at night. Number 3, simple one, but very, very powerful one. You want your bedroom to be completely dark. Believe it or not, there's research showing that even very, very tiny lights in the room, in the bedroom at night, can have a negative impact, a measurable negative impact on your brain function, and even make you much more likely to have depression. Number 4, optimize your sleep time based on your chronotype. This is an important one because a lot of people think that they're night owls and that their natural pattern, their chronotype, is to be more of a night person, and that their natural pattern is actually a lot later than it really truly is. Now, I know probably a lot of you are reacting to that and saying, no, but I really am a night owl. Well, I'm going to show you something in a second that may just change your mind. So this actually has more to do with lack of sun during the day and too much blue light at night, which phase shifts your circadian rhythm to a night owl rhythm. In other words, the modern world, through the modern lighting environment, the modern environment, as well as social interactions, the fact that we have a nighttime social interactions and it's common to stay out later for those kinds of social engagements, the modern world basically wires us in to a later circadian rhythm than the one we should be in based on when the sun is rising and falling. So in other words, based on when the sun is rising and falling, we should be, let's say, here, but the circadian clock gets phase shifted into a time zone that is 2 or 3 hours later than the one that it actually should be in. So again, if you think you're a night owl, your natural and optimal rhythm is almost certainly earlier than you think. Now, it is possible to be a true night owl, but the rhythm that you should be in is probably still earlier than you think it is. Specifically, your optimal bedtime is probably 1 to 2.5 hours earlier than you think it is. Here's why I say that. There was a study a couple years ago that basically just took a bunch of people that were self-proclaimed night owls and that were commonly going to bed around midnight or 1 a.m., things like that, waking up late in the morning. And all they did is basically just send them on a camping trip. They just said, go outdoors, sleep in a tent, no artificial lights, no phones, no TVs, no street lights, no indoor lighting, none of that stuff. Just get out in nature, sleep in a tent. So the only lights you're being exposed to are the rise and fall of the sun, the moon, firelight, and so on. Here's what happened. All 8 participants steadily shifted towards a sleep schedule that more closely mirrored the setting and rising of the sun. As a whole, the campers slept for roughly the same amount of time each night as before, but fell asleep 2 hours earlier and awoke without alarm clocks 2 hours earlier as well. And they said in some of the articles talking about this, the time spent outdoors during the day and night restored a natural sleep cycle, turning even night owls into early risers. And this was the actual study published in the journal Current Biology. Number 5, blue and green blocking glasses. So we talked about how blue light primarily is the key wavelength of light that enters through the eyes and impacts the circadian clock in the brain. Well, it turns out recent research has also shown that green wavelengths of light, which we also get from the sun during the daytime, also have a significant impact on the circadian clock in the brain. So if you get a pair of glasses like this, or like these here, blue blocking glasses, you can still be on your electronic devices, still be on your computer, watch TV, be in a house with indoor lighting, etc. And just by wearing these glasses, you can eliminate that blue light from entering your eyes and disrupting your circadian clock and suppressing melatonin. Now, there are lots of things on the market like these stylish sort of blue blockers. Unfortunately, there are a couple big problems with most of the glasses on the market. One, they don't block green light, which is more of a recent scientific discovery that green light also impacts the circadian clock. We used to think it was just blue light. We now know it's blue and green light. And two, a lot of these stylish variations don't wrap around the eye socket. So if you have an opening on the side here, like you do with pretty much almost all these variations here, you still allow light to get in through the side of the eye socket. And so blue and green light are still getting into the eye unimpeded by the lens of the glasses. The lens, in other words, works to block light coming straight on, but not so much from the side. So the answer, the solution to this, there's a couple companies. One is called Safety Blue and another is called True Dark. And they make glasses that look like this. Two things to note here. One, they wrap around the eye socket, so they completely seal off light on the sides. And they have more reddish lenses rather than the more amber or orange colored lenses here. And the reason for that is that's the color that you need to block both blue and green light. Okay? So if you get these simple glasses from one of these two companies, you will notice within probably the first night of wearing them, if not within the first couple nights, certainly, that you fall asleep very, very fast after putting them on. You get tired very fast, and you sleep way deeper, and you're more energetic the next day. Super simple and easy strategy. And the cool thing is, it makes it so you can still use your computer and phone and electronic devices and so on. All you got to do is wear these goofy looking glasses, but once you get used to the goofiness factor, you get adjusted to it, and you enjoy the amazing benefits as far as your sleep and energy levels. Finally, optimize your feeding window to amplify autophagy. So we talked about autophagy previously as that cellular cleanup and recycling process. As I said before, a big reason why disrupted circadian rhythm is linked to so many diseases is that it represses autophagy. It makes it so autophagy does not happen as well. Now here's the key thing to understand. Autophagy should be happening while you're sleeping. Should be happening during the nightly fast while you're sleeping. And therefore is heavily impacted by your circadian rhythm. A few years ago, there was a phenomenal study where they used a smartphone app to basically record people's eating patterns. And they found some remarkable things. First, they found that most people have a daily feeding window of 15 hours or longer, which means they're almost eating from the moment that they wake up till the moment they go to bed. Number two, they found that most people fast each day. Their fasting window is only for the time that they're in bed, for the most part, which is usually just 8 or 9 hours. Three, most people consume the largest portion of their daily calories in the evenings after 6 p.m. And number four, there was a significant variation in meal timing patterns from weekdays to weekends, which, like light exposure, can also disrupt the circadian clock in the brain. And this resulted in impaired energy levels and a sort of what they called metabolic jet lag. And number five, they actually did an intervention. These researchers did an intervention with these people that were normally eating 15, 16-hour feeding windows from the time of their first bite of food to their last bite of food over the course of the day. They did an intervention. And all they did was they took these people with long feeding windows and just shifted them to a 10 or 11-hour feeding window. They just shifted them to consume all of their food, let's say between 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So not a remarkably short period of time, just a significant shortening from, let's say, 15-hour feeding windows. Now you're down at 10 or 11 hours. Still nothing extreme. Just this one simple intervention. They didn't restrict calories. They didn't change the food they were eating. They didn't do anything else. All they said is just, you can consume whatever you normally consume, but just do it within a shorter period of time than you normally would. The result that they found from this very simple intervention, people lost fat, they slept better, and simultaneously they improved their energy levels. And this is the actual quote from the study itself. And they concluded, the participants reduced body weight, reported being energetic, and improved sleep, just from this one very, very simple intervention. So 6 strategies to deepen your sleep and increase your energy levels by optimizing your circadian rhythm. Number 1, bright light within the first 30 minutes after awakening. Number 2, sleep in complete darkness. And if you can't black out your bedroom, get eye shades. Number 3, blue and green blockers. Number 4, get devices off and out of your room. Number 5, optimize your sleep time based on your chronotype. And for most people, that means shifting their bedtime slightly earlier than it is right now. And just by that simple intervention, it can make a big difference in the quality of your sleep and your energy levels the next day. And number 6, optimize your feeding and fasting windows. If your current feeding window is something like 13, 14, 15 hours of the day, shorten it to 10 to 11 hours, and you're probably going to notice that not only are you going to lose weight, And not only are you going to sleep better, but you're also going to feel more energetic. Here's the most important thing I want you to understand. You can transform your energy levels. If you've been struggling with chronic fatigue, you can get your energy back and get your life back. If you've been dealing with only mild fatigue, or you're already mostly healthy and you want to take things to the next level, you can build a brain and a body that are bursting with energy and vitality that allow you to become who you are meant to become and do amazing things with your life. So make sure to join me for video 2, where I have even more powerful content to share with you. I promise video 2, which is my personal favorite content, is going to blow your mind. Now, I know that many people are in a hurry to get this area of their lives handled once and for all, and to do it fast. Now, you may be in a position where you've been chronically fatigued for years and you just want to get your life back. Or you may already be perfectly healthy and have pretty good energy levels, and you may be looking to achieve superhuman energy levels and to supercharge your body and brain. If you're serious about building a high energy body and you want to go all out right now, I want to let you know about a couple of incredibly powerful tools that we've developed. First, I want to mention Energenesis, which is our revolutionary new mitochondrial and energy optimizer. This is a true breakthrough supplement unlike anything else on the market. It's packed with actual real doses of over 20, that's right, 20 of the most powerful compounds in the world for optimizing mitochondrial health. It's got things like NT Factors phospholipid complex, which is a patented ingredient. This by itself has been shown to increase energy levels in people with chronic fatigue by over 30 or 40% in just a matter of weeks. Just this one ingredient in this formula with over 20 ingredients. We've got astaxanthin, which is a powerful protector of mitochondrial membranes. Resveratrol, which helps repair damaged DNA. We've got acetyl L-carnitine and R-alpha lipoic acid, which protect and regenerate damaged mitochondria. We've got D-ribose and creatine and CoQ10 and magnesium, 2 different forms of magnesium, which are all cofactors for mitochondrial energy production. We've got Triphala, which is a powerful Ayurvedic herb that's composed of 3 different compounds that have powerful antioxidant effects at the mitochondrial level. We've got taurine, Panax ginseng, curcumin, EGCG, green tea extract, PQQ, which is a powerful stimulator of mitochondrial biogenesis, citrus bioflavonoid extract, which has compounds in it like hesperidin and rutin that have a key role in regenerating NAD+, which is an important compound in mitochondrial energy production. We've got quercetin, also critical for NAD+ recycling and energy production. N-acetylcysteine, which helps stimulate and bolster the internal mitochondrial defense system, antioxidant defense system. We've got niacin and niacinamide, which bolster NAD+, again, this compound that's critical for regulating mitochondrial energy production. So we've got over 20 powerful compounds in real doses, all in one formula. Now, several of the individual ingredients again, have been proven to increase energy levels in people with chronic fatigue by over 30 and 40% within just a matter of weeks. To get all of these ingredients that I just showed you separately, let's say you were to go to Amazon and get them all individually, not only would you have a mess of 20 different bottles and pills to fiddle with every day, but it would cost you literally about $400 a month. But we've managed to pack all 23 supplements into one powder and get your cost under $100 for a month's supply. So you can learn more about Energenesis by clicking the link below. Also, I want to mention we have our flagship 60-day energy blueprint program that takes you step by step through everything you need to know to go from chronically fatigued, chronically low energy to superhuman energy levels all day, every day. This is simply the most powerful science-backed energy optimization program ever created, and it has already transformed the lives of thousands of people over the last few years. At the Energy Blueprint, we are committed to providing the absolute highest quality, world-class, science-backed supplements and programs to optimize your energy levels. For overcoming fatigue and increasing your energy levels, our products are just flat out the best in the world. So if you're serious about getting this area of your life handled right away, these are simply the most powerful products on the market. You can learn more about the Energy Blueprint program and Energenesis in the links below this video. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in video number 2, where I'm gonna be sharing secrets of how to stimulate and grow your mitochondria to build a bigger, stronger cellular engine. You're not gonna wanna miss it. I'll see you in video 2.